Here's the heavy question. What if the way we chase wealth is actually stealing the joy it's supposed to bring to us?
What an interesting thought. I know that's what you and Joel, our guest this week, got right into, right?
Exactly. In part two of our conversation, we take a deep dive into delayed gratification, compound interest, and more importantly, why these things matter beyond just having a bigger bank account.
I love this podcast because Joel flips the script on financial advising. I know a lot of us feel it's a very greedy and kind of grimy profession, but not Joel. Joel is charging flat fees and honest guidance, and it's a fresh take, and I love that.
And in today's episode, we try to hit on the deeper questions about life. Like, how do you teach your kids about money? And that it's just a tool and not life's scoreboard.
Maybe you're sitting in a position like that yourself where, money is the scoreboard. Money is the goal, right? Well, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. While we are a financial podcast, this one is going to change the way you think about money. So if you're all about changing not just your generation, but the next generation, thanks for clicking on today's video. Let's get into this part 2 episode with Joel Miller.
Now, I want to get back to what you were saying about delayed gratification. Why do you think it's so much more difficult today to be able to delay that gratification, to be able to wait just a little bit longer than it ever used to be? I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it feels true that it's harder.
I mean, I know for a fact companies are getting smarter, right? They have so much data nowadays. What are we looking at for how long? How long were we on this ad? What did we click on? So I think companies are getting smarter. I think marketers are getting smarter. So, but hey, credit to all the people in marketing in the 70s and 80s and 90s. I'm sure that was hard, but like you said, it's probably a little bit easier for them now because there's just so much of our personal data out there. What we like to see, what we don't like to see. Netflix knows everything. Netflix knows when you paused something, how long did you watch something, and they can create shows. Man, I think it'd be so cool to see the data that Netflix has. They can create a show entirely based off of data that they know about their clients. And that's why they're so successful. Same thing with marketers. So I'd probably say we do it to ourselves, but the companies do make it pretty easy on us. So I think it's a combination of those two things.
Would you also say that comparison is also another thing? Just looking at your neighbor and saying, oh, well, they have this, so therefore I should have this. And you have no idea what's going on with their finances. Most people, if you actually look at underneath the hood, you realize are mired in debt. That new car, that new boat, bought with debt. Bought with just taking future earnings and pulling it back to now. But you look at that, you're like, oh, well, if Joe Schmo next door has it, then I should have it too. And we keep on just running into this thing. We put ourselves into the jail cell. We just keep on putting ourselves, and we keep on building the bars around us bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And one of the most interesting stats that I've been looking at in the last few months is look at the average American family home size on a square footage basis over all of the years. It's unreal to look at the average home from the 50s and then the 70s and the 90s and today. I think it's like over double that square footage that the average family is in nowadays. And is that right or wrong? There's so much to be said about it, but I think it's the same thing, right? We just expect more. We want more. We want a bigger house. We want a bigger yard. We want a nicer car and all of that sort of stuff. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but we can get into a money trap where we are trying to keep up with the Joneses, keep up with the neighbors, keep up with the friends that we have on social media, and we're living beyond our means. And we need to pull that back to like prioritizing what we can, what works with our family, what income can we have, and all of that sort of stuff. And if you're unhappy with the situation, go try to make more money. Like you can either make more money or you can spend less. So I challenge people to do a combination of those. What if we do both of them? Go try to get that pay increase. Go fight for yourself at work. Go switch jobs. I think it's so sad that loyalty is not rewarded in careers nowadays. I don't think we see this nearly as much as we used to, where someone, it's like, wow, you started here, you were there for 30 years and you retired. I wish we had more of that. I wish companies were able to reward their employees more for staying loyal and staying with them. But unfortunately, nowadays, the way that you can go get paid, the way that you can make more is by job jumping around all these different places. So just something else I wish I could see a difference. I wish that businesses could do that more, but I also understand why that's also very difficult at the same time.
Yeah, it is. And I was talking about comparison. I think one of the hardest things is we compare ourselves to each other nowadays, but also we compare ourselves to the way things used to be in the past. And that makes it very difficult when we cherry pick the data. So you
Yeah.
talked about houses just a second ago, right? Everyone compares himself back to the 1950s. Leave it to Beaver. Everything was perfect. Families all were great. One dad could go to work and off of his salary support a family of 3.2 children, and the spouse got to stay home and cook and clean. And all that sounded well and good until you take a step back and you realize, well, that husband, that father was at the same job for 40 years, probably doing pretty difficult work. The children all lived in one bedroom, a 1,400 square foot house, one car garage, one bathroom for the entire family of 5, but the thing that was nice is there was no more comparison. Everyone was stuck inside the exact same boat. So you never look to other people to say like, my life should be better, because everyone that you saw was exactly the same as you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful stuff. I totally agree. And you know what? They can make their life whatever they wanted to be. They probably had difficult moments. They had difficult points in their life, but overall, they seemed pretty happy. And we can do that about ourselves. Like we can control our own joy. And like you said, are you going to look at things with the glass half full or the glass half empty? When people ask me that, or they ask how I see things, I'm like, hey, the water's full. Like the glass is full because we have so much to be thankful for. There's so much joy, and we're blessed to be here in the United States of America. Like we are lucky that we were born here. So if we are like unhappy about something, I think that we just need to reshape like the way that we're thinking about it, because I mean, I'm not trying to discount that people have different paths and that there are difficult things that come up in life. But if there's water in that cup, then I mean, it's a full cup in my mind, and I'm just happy.
What do you think the first step is to being able to see that truth, to being able to look at something a slightly different way? Because most people, they believe that their first thought, impulse, action, belief is God's honest truth, is like divine. No, most people can't take a second to become conscious for a moment, to wake up, to realize that they're just habitually reacting to their life and never actually becoming conscious of it and being like, oh, I can control this. I can decide to look at something differently than the way that I automatically looked at it. How does someone wake up to existence?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you how they don't wake up: by staying inside, doing nothing, not getting outside, staying on your phone, scrolling on your phone, and settling for like a unhappy life, right? I think you need to find the source of your eternal joy. And I know where mine comes from. Like I know where my joy and my faith comes from, my relationship with Jesus Christ. So that's my like living spring water of joy and where that comes from. So we need to find like what do you enjoy? What brings you joy? How do you feel blessed? Like I think that's where we are trying to find that joy from the wrong place. So talking on money, a lot of people think that's going to come from money. A lot of people think that's going to come from their career. And you know what? It typically doesn't. You see the athletes that it seems like they have it all figured out. They have everything that they could ever want. Money just amplifies the type of person you are. It will make you it will be a loudspeaker for, are you a good or a bad person, right? Money does not fix you. It just amplifies whatever you are more of. So that's why we can't just say like, oh, well, if I had all the money in the world, I would be happiness or I would be joyful, because we see tons of examples of that's not true. It is not fame. It is not money. It is not a career. You have to find that joy from somewhere else. You can use money to be happy. You can use it to buy memories, but if it is your entire motivation, I mean, you might get to retirement, you might get to this moment in life that you thought like, I made it, I'm done, I've got this figured out. And then you see people retire and it's like, oh my gosh, what is my purpose? I just lost my 30 years. I lost my family. I lost my relationship with my kids because I was way over focused in the wrong area.
So are you saying that money isn't the goal? Because that's going to blow up the comments. Because most people believe that money is the highest order, that there's nothing else. What else matters than goal? My goal in life is to come home with a pocket full of dollars to a family that doesn't know me. And it's so hard to tell people that, to sit there and say that money isn't the goal. Money facilitates whatever the goal is. When everyone is trapped in this matrix of the only thing that matters is the money. If I had the money, I would have everything that I want. How do you correct that? How do you fix that in people to realize that money was never the goal. It was a marketing scheme that got you so hooked and got you from such a young age that you actually believed it was true. And you never questioned water. You never questioned that you're stuck in a fishbowl.
Yeah, this is, I mean, a whole nother trail of conversation, but I love it, right? Like, this is very cool. I think about it very differently. Coming from faith and religion, being a Christian, my view on money might be completely different from a lot of people listening to this, but that's what's so cool about this conversation. The way that I view money and all of my resources is that it's actually the Lord's resources. And God allows me the ability to steward 90% of my resources, and I tithe 10%. And that's why I think very differently about it, because it's like, no, money is not the goal. We cannot take any of this with us when we pass away. So why would I over prioritize a very temporary resource, right? So that's kind of like where my mind goes, and that's what I think about, and that's like how I view my entire resources. And I'll tell you my priority: faith, family, like my career. And that is a very opposite order for a lot of people. If you have money at the top of your list, if that's your most number one priority, everything else below that's going to suffer. So you have to look at what you prioritize most and what's most important to you, because if that's set up wrong, it's going to be a really hard life. And if I tell someone that, I'm like, yeah, my career, making money is actually like the third most important to me, maybe even fourth after my athletics, because I want to be like physically fit and I want to prioritize that. If I tell people that and they're like, oh, well, you care more about like your faith and you care more about your family, you care more about this, and wait a minute, your career and your money, making money is so low on your priority list. But you know what? That's what allows me to be the best CEO. That's what allows me to have everything to give to my job, is because I know that everything above it came first. So it sounds opposite, but I think that's the best way to live.
I agree. For me, money is the fifth thing on my list of things that are important to me. Money and career, I kind of put them synonymously with each other. Like you, I put my family up top. I put my friends right below that. After that, I put fitness, then forward progress, then finances.
Yep.
So trying to become a better person, whatever it is. And I think that to have that two CEOs talking to each other to say that money isn't the goal is something that's very important for our listeners to understand, because I can say it every week on the podcast, but it's kind of like that old Jim Carrey quote, right? Jim Carrey once said, if you think that having $1 million is going to make you a happy person, I'm really sorry to tell you, but it's not going to make you that. And then everyone hears that and goes, well, yeah, it's nice for Jim Carrey to say, because he's a millionaire, you can say it. But how else could you say that $1 million isn't going to help you unless you've reached it and told people it's not going to help you? It's not going to make you a better person, because wherever you go, there you are. You're the person that is the unhappy person, no matter what situation you're in. And the reason I talk about it is because I'm that unhappy person that everywhere I go, there I am. So it's difficult to break yourself out of that shell, but it comes down to just trying every single day to become a little bit better, to achieving that forward progress, to help yourself and ideally help society grow and achieve a higher level of enlightenment, a higher level of faith, a higher level of whatever it is we're all trying to attain. So I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about Flames Financial and kind of what got you to create your own firm and why the name.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. One of my favorite questions. Flames was my school mascot. So I went to Liberty University. We were the Flames, and that's where it comes from, where it had a biblical tie. I love the energy. I love fire. I love everything about just like that eternal drive and what Flames embodies. So Flames Financial Planning was born because I've been very thankful to work for two amazing employers that taught me everything under the sun of what it means to serve clients, to have the heart of a teacher, to running a business. So it was time to make a company that tries to take as much off of your back as possible. Historically, financial advisors have only wanted to work with the wealthy because that's how financial advisors have gotten paid, which you still have to put food on the table. But I wanted to serve and work for the mass affluent class, the people that historically have always been denied access to a financial planner relationship. So we are a flat fee firm that wants to partner with you so that you have a dedicated relationship with a financial professional. I think that's so important because you need that accountability. you want to walk through life with someone. You want them to know your names, your kids' names, your goals, your hobbies, your interests, where you're going on vacation. You want to have that relationship with someone. But another thing that a lot of companies get wrong is they only do your planning and your investments. And then they send you somewhere else for the other things that you need to do every single year. So I wanted to be one of the first companies that tries to do almost everything for you possible. So at Flames, your membership covers your investments, your financial planning, your yearly tax filing, and your estate planning documents for all one affordable price. So we are very blessed to take all of those burdens, all of those responsibilities off of someone else's shoulders through an active membership for an affordable price. And I've loved doing it. I'm very thankful to be the decision maker to trailblaze in this industry. I think right now only 10% of financial planning companies do a flat fee subscription, but I think we're going to keep seeing that number go up and up and up. Because if you have a financial advisor, I'm proud of you. How much are you paying them? I personally don't think that you should be paying them 1%. That's a really big number. If you're paying your financial advisor $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 or more to manage 1% of your AUM, I think that's that number exists because that's always what's exist. But I think it's different now. We don't need to pay 1% to a financial advisor. So that's what I'm trying to make a difference in this world, is bringing access to a dedicated relationship to the mass affluent class that has always been turned away by financial advisors. And that's what Flames Financial Planning is.
That is really cool. Could you tell me a little bit about how financial advisors in the past have made their money and why we have the system that we have today? Why you're trying to buck the trend and create something new? Why is that?
Yeah. To bring it back to that 1% number, it's kind of always existed. There's some of these numbers, they got picked maybe a really long time ago, and they've existed for a really long time, and the financial advisors don't want to change them, right? Like, those people don't want to change and rewrite the script and flip it, because they're getting paid really well on that. So right now, the typical relationship means that you hire a financial advisor, they manage your assets, and they do 1%. That's the average fee. Sometimes it's a little bit higher than that. Sometimes it's a little bit lower than that, or there's a scale. But typically they might debit 1% out of your account on a quarterly basis based on the amount of assets that you have. And I hope that they're taking care of you. I hope that they're in touch, and I hope that you're walking through life. But also, some people just don't even hear from their financial advisor. They just know their money is being invested on their behalf, and they don't even really take a look at it. So I love disrupting an industry, and that's what I'm trying to do, because it's been like this for too long. If that 1% fee, if you do well, if you do a rollover, if the assets go up in value, so is your fee. So it's not the same fee from 3 years ago. It's not the same fee from 5 or 10 years ago. So that's why I wanted to start a flat fee firm, because I think about it very similar to a gym. I use this analogy a lot, where if you walk into your local gym that you have a membership for, most likely everyone in this entire gym is paying the same exact price, or maybe a very similar price, maybe with inflation, whatever. Maybe everyone's paying a very generally same price. But if you go 5 days a week, and if you lift really heavy weights, you're not paying more than Joe Schmo who's sitting next to you that never goes. Or you're not paying more than the other person who goes 7 days a week. So why should we be paying more? Why should you have to pay more because you did well? If you worked really hard in your career and you saved really well and you did a rollover and you had this big 401k that moved over, your fee should be tied to so much more than your investment balance, because that is one of the 1,800 conversations that we will be able to do together. That fee has historically only tied to your AUM basis, but it's so much more than that. So that's why I wanted to run something that's so much more similar to, we all kind of understand how a gym membership works, and that's how a Flames membership works, is where it's like, hey, I have a client who has $5 million. I have a client who has a negative 150,000 in net worth, and they paid the same price, which sounds very ironic to 90% of the financial advisors out there, because it's like, well, I could be making way more on this person or way more on that person, or I'm not making enough on this person. but it's not tied to their investments. We get to have tons of fun conversations. We get to talk about a whole lot of extra things. And one of my favorite things is working with younger clients because they've never got to talk to a financial advisor before. So we're buying your very first home together. I'm watching you have your very first child and your whole life is changing. You're switching jobs. So that's what's so fun about the Mass Affluent class to me.
I agree. What are some of the things that you've experienced as difficulties in trying to do something that is a buck to the trend? Because I'm in the same boat as you. So I have experienced some of the things you go through where you're trying to create something new, something that you believe the market needs. And, I recently just had a lunch with the head of a pretty big broker dealer. And I was telling her about how I run my planning, how I do how I do a fee only, how I do all this. And she looked at me, she's like, that's crazy. That's never going to work. Like that can't work. It's impossible. And if I listen to people like that, there'd be no way in hell that I do it. Yet I'm still trying through all the struggles, through all the things. And I'm sure that you're trying through all the struggles, through all the things to make it better because you believe in something larger than yourself. You believe in the mission that you're trying to create. Is that true?
100%. There's no one more passionate about this than I am, right? And I think it takes grit. I think it takes hard work. I think it takes running the numbers. So I love it. It is a challenge that I'm willing to take on when everyone else wants to take the easy route and charge 1% just because that's how everyone does it. I'm ready to be different. I'm ready to take on that challenge and bear the weight of like trailblazing and disrupting an entire industry that is existed for so long. And for me as a CEO, it came running the numbers over and over and over. How do I keep margins low? How do I keep costs low? Who's the right partner to bring in for this? Who's the right partner to bring for that? Who's going to do the tax filing? Who's going to do the estate planning? So it's not easy, but everything that I have worked through, everything that I have done so far, it didn't stop me. Were there difficult moments? Yes. Were there hard moments? Yes. Were there times where I wanted to give up? No, because I knew I wasn't going to, but it just came running the numbers, being sure, being aware. And I got a lot of experience. I got a lot of practice with this, like in one of my previous jobs. So that definitely gave me like a head start of how to run a business like this. But it was a challenge I was willing to take on because most advisors set up their books of 20 to 100 clients, depending on how much you charge, depending on what clients you have. A lot of advisors just want to do this as a lifestyle thing. A lot of advisors want to meet with clients for 3 months, back to back to back meetings, meet every client, make sure they're happy, make sure they're taken care of. And then they want to kind of like sit back and relax. They want to go golf for the other 6 to 9 months in the year, right? But I don't want to do that. I know that myself and Flames has the capacity to change the lives of thousands of families across the whole US. So that's what we're trying to challenge in the status quo, is that you should feel serviced by your advisor. You should have an ongoing relationship with your advisor. You should be in constant communication with your advisor, and you should not be punished. The more you save, the more you make, the more you want to do. I don't think your fee or your planning membership should increase because you just saved a little bit more or you did well. And why would you get punished for that? It just doesn't make sense to me. So that's why it was such an easy choice.
Yeah, I agree. It's different, and you get to reach a wider audience that is historically never been looked at. Because typically it would work in that, hey, you don't have any money right now. When you have money in 30 or 40 years, you can come talk to me. And you hope that person figures it out. You hope, but there's no real guarantee. But being able to be there with them and watch them, I think, is so much better than coming in the 9th inning when they're like, oh, I'm already going to win this game. Like I'm already about to make it. And now you come in, you're like, I got you. Like, let me help you come to first to home base. You get to help somebody while they're still at bat to be able to make it to first, second, third, and all the way around. So as we come to a close, I want to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. First off, let's imagine that I'm doing this podcast in 20 years and we have one of your sons who comes on and I get to ask them, what did your dad teach you about money? What would you hope that they say?
Oh my gosh, you're going to make me cry with this question. Well, I'm very thankful for my 2 boys, and my role as a father is to raise up a man who's going to, 1, hopefully love Jesus, 2, take care of the people around him and be a provider, be a protector. And my goal for my sons would be to, 1, make sure that their identity is not found in money. So that's goal number 1, is that they understand what money is and how to use it, what the advantages and disadvantages are. I do not want them to love money. So what I would hope that they would say is that are we ever going to have the most amount of money? Absolutely not. But it's not about that. It's about what we did, what memories we created, what we grew up, what we found in value. We love to get outside. We love to travel. We love to create memories as a family, especially doing like athletic things. So we're always biking into the town. We're always like biking around, going on runs. Like I want to teach him the value of physical fitness as well, and hopefully have a healthy relationship with all of those different aspects. But I would love to see one or multiple of my kids also prioritize this. So like my 3-year-old will come in and he'll smash the keyboard and he says that he's working just like his dad is, which is really fun. So I'm excited to teach him why this is so important, because at the end of the day, I'm just an educator. I am just a teacher. And the ironic thing is I always wanted to be a teacher, but I hated every school subject. I hated science, I hated math, I hated history. So if I would have enjoyed any of those, I thought about being a gym teacher because that was the only one that I truly enjoyed enough. But why I'm so blessed is because now I just get to have a relationship with single people or married couples, and I get to teach them about their own finances. So I hope that my sons have the heart of a teacher, regardless of whatever industry that they end up going into.
If you could go back 15 years and talk to younger version of yourself, what advice do you wish you could tell that person? What was the best advice you ever received?
It's a really deep question. I think that one of the things that I would go back and tell myself is that I wish I would have known this earlier. Honestly, I wish I would have told myself, like when I was in high school and I looked at like being a financial advisor, I Googled it, like I told that story earlier. But I would have said, just run with this. Go into it early. I got an advertising major. I got a communications major. I got a business minor. But I could have started even sooner. And that would have just even launched me into a faster, like more advanced career early on. That's probably what I would tell myself. I'm like, hey, just go with this because this is your plan. This is what I think. It's hard that we get through college, we graduate, and we still don't know what we want to do. And then people are in debt and they have all these student loans. So I think if I could go back and tell myself, it's like I knew, but I wasn't willing to trust that that's like what I wanted to do in the long term. So that's what I would tell myself. I would like fast forward, show myself like, hey, this is where you are. Like you have an amazing life. You're so blessed. You have 2 kids, this and that. But I would probably just say, hey, educate people sooner. I missed out. I lost out on time because I get to educate people now, and I have been able to be through my career, but I could have started even earlier, right? I could have been in maybe more clubs in high school or there were finance clubs. There was even a personal financial major at my school. So it would have been even cool if I could even just fast forward and started this earlier. I'm thankful I got here now. I'm thankful I get to have these relationships and these conversations now. But like, hey, I missed out on a few years and now I'm going to make up for it.
So we do have one more question for you. But before we do that, you've been so generous with our audience and telling us your stories and the way that you think about life and money. I would like to give the podcast to you so that you can tell our audience members where they can find you to learn more about you and Flames.
Yeah, it has been my honor. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you to every single person listening today. You are doing a great job. If this is the first time that you've ever heard this, I am proud of you and I want you to run with this. It is not too late. So continue to go forward, live the best version of yourself. We had some hard conversations today. There were some wake-up calls, there were some challenges, and I want you to own up to those. I want you to be the best father. I want you to be the best husband. I want you to be the best spouse. Maybe there's like a female audience. I want you to be the best moms and wives out there. Whoever you are, wherever you are in life right now, stop comparing yourself. Start looking in the mirror and challenging yourself to be the best version of yourself. So I'm proud of you. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're still listening, this is a long podcast episode, so this is awesome. If you've listened to this entire thing, that is really cool, and you're doing exactly what you should be. If you would love to learn more, I want to get to know you, I want to have a relationship with you, or I want you to be a member at Flames, there's 2 different places you can find us. You can go to the website, you can go to flamesfp.com, and you can jump on my calendar. I would love to meet you. I'd love to hear about your financial story. Even if you have a question, I am happy to answer that for you. And I would love to tell you more about being a member at Flames and what that looks like and what we can do for you and what we can hopefully take off of your back. If you want to just join in on the fun, there are lots of resources where you can do that for free. So you can follow me on Instagram or YouTube at Joel Miller CFP. I post daily financial content, 100% for free, 30 to 40 second just videos about small subjects, big subjects. It's just fun to make these videos as a free resource for you. So you can follow me, Joel Miller CFP, on either of those. And I would love to say hello to you.
Thank you so much, Joel. So we do have one final question. Here at the FI Guys, we stand for Financial Independence Guys. And what we found over the years of doing this is that financial independence means something very different to other people. So might I ask you, Joel, what does financial independence mean to you? More specifically, what is enough?
Financial independence means being able to take a step back when the moment is right. And that moment for me is when I have the ability to be with my kids more, to go create memories for them and with them. And when money, right now, I'm working to change the lives of thousands of people across America. At some point, I will be able to pass on this specific responsibility of CEO and decision maker. I'll be able to pass that on to someone else. It's probably not anytime soon, and I don't want it to be anytime soon, but I will consistently be reviewing and praying about that moment when I can pass on this role and designate that to someone else so that I can go get back to the priority list of the things that we talked about earlier, are the ranking the things that are most important to us. If money is that number one for someone out there right now, you need to redo your priority list. You need to find things that you value and you appreciate more than money and more than your career. So someday I hope that I can bump down that money in the career. I hope I can bump that down even further. When I can make that 8th on my list, 10th on my list, 15th on my list, that's when I'll be able to be financially independent. And I look up to my father-in-law a lot. And he is recently retired a few years ago, but he doesn't call it retired. He calls it repurposed, because now he has the ability, instead of working 9 to 5 for money to provide for his family, he is very focused on changing the lives of men and allowing men to be more active in their family life, more active in their faith. So I love the word repurposed, because I think that's exactly when I know that we'll be financially independent and financially free to get away from the career and get away from the money, is when we can repurpose our life outside of this 9 to 5 and find something else to be very passionate about and fill our time with.
I love that. Thank you so much, Joel, for joining us here on the FI Guys podcast. To our audience members, if you are still here, thank you so much for joining us. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe, but most importantly, share the FI Guys with one person, a family member, a friend, someone that you want to bring on this journey of financial independence. Because there's an old proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And this journey of financial independence, of life, ideally, is a far journey. And you need someone along there with you. And Joel and myself, we're here for you. Thank you so much for being here. We're the FI Guys. Later. Boom. This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.